Hey, how is everybody? Welcome back to KSP. It's been a little while since I streamed it. In fact, I think the last time I did anything, I was doing Space Tog things, but we're not going to do that today because, well, I haven't done any more space versions of tanks, and also I've learned that the 1.3 version of KSP is coming out relatively soon, and so I've done what I was kind of holding on to do, which is copy out the 1.22 client and just mod it to hell, because one of the big advantages of KSP changing from, I can't even remember what version of Unity it went from and to, but yeah, the stable 64-bit Windows client meant that you could just add a lot more mods and it wouldn't just run out of memory. So of course, that all happened, and I was super excited, and then I've just been playing stock Korea ever since, pretty much. Although, having said that, you know, there's been MechJeb and some other mods, mostly visual ones. In fact, pretty much all just visual mods, apart from MechJeb. So, okay, it's doing a... Oh, I guess because I left the menu idle long enough, it did an intro thing. I didn't even know there was one. So, the principal main one is the Galileo Planet Pack, which is this big huge mod that basically replaces the Kerbal system. It's not the only one to do it, and you may have seen other people doing series with this, because it's been quite popular because it's just a really well done Planet Pack. Now, I've been using, on my career playthrough that I've mostly just been playing myself, I've been using actually this Calmac flag, but I think for this we'll use the Saltire, and we'll call it the Scottish Space Programme, because that's totally a thing. Yeah, once we're independent from England, that's what we'll do. We'll set up our own rocket ports and just build all of the rockets and conquer space, and that's definitely going to be a thing. Yep, definitely. We'll conquer space with haggis and whiskey and kilts. You see if we don't. Oh, TAC life support. So yeah, this is another one I've got in, is a life support mod. Just a whole bunch of mods. You know what I'm going to do, actually? I'm going to... let's put music. I usually have the music turned off in this game, but we'll... the music in KSP is quite kind of relaxing, so yeah. So this is Gale, as it's called. It's not Kerbin anymore. The planet's called Gale, which is appropriately Scottish. So and everything looks a bit different. You can have just the standard space center, but one of the kind of optional mods that Galileo's Planet Pack comes with is one that changes how the space center looks. I probably should have put together a mod list or something. I've been very lazy. I actually haven't done that. But you know, I've got all the mods in the folder. It's just oh, OBS went black there for a second. Not sure why. I didn't bother like putting it in a text file. But yeah, there's a whole bunch of mods. Some of them are visual. Some of them are interface. Some of them. Can I not just click and move that? Oh, apparently I have to do that to move that like up there. That's fine. And some of them add parts. And some of the parts mods are ones that I have used before, but just haven't in a little while. So yeah, this is the... it's taking a long right time to scroll over. The new and improved... Well, not new and improved, but the different Space Center. And you might recognise this from Scott Manley's videos, because he's been using the Galileo Planet Pack for his latest series. Although he's been putting the videos out at a rather reduced rate compared to some of his other series, but I guess he's a bit busy because he's got an actual job, unlike me. It says in the box I'm streaming tanks. It shouldn't do. It should say World of Kerbal Space Program. Let me just... No, it's saying Kerbal Space Program on my end. You might just need to refresh Cyber. Anyway, so how is everybody? Latika Mafia, and who else we've got? Alan Man, Little Brother 13. I hope you're all doing okay. So, one of the other things that's installed is a contract. It's not a contract pack, but it's like a tech tree thing. I don't even know whether research and development. Oh, okay, it's all sort of around here. So it changes it to unmanned before manned, or it's literally called unmanned before manned. So you can guess what that does to the tech tree. So things like manned capsules and whatever, you have to unlock those a little bit further down the line. So it's basically going to be starting off with planes. And as you can see, some of the very first technologies open up. What do we actually have to start with? It can't be a lot. Some very, very basic stuff. Some test rockets and whatever. So yeah, this is... I've basically fired it up just to make sure it all loads in and doesn't immediately crash the client. But otherwise, a lot of this stuff... I've used bits and pieces of it, like TAC life support I have used previously. And I've used some of the other bits and pieces previously, but it's been a long time since I've done a seriously modded build. The last time was version 1 point something. So, yeah, and of course you had to restrict yourself a bit there because you didn't have the memory necessarily. Right. Oh, that's spaceplane hangar. I didn't want that. I wanted the admin building. I don't know where anything is. It's all in the wrong place. I'm going to have to get used to where it is. Also, I should say I've got both a cup of tea and half a glass of whiskey. Not literally a half glass full of whiskey, but half of what I started with a little earlier on. Admin building? Here's the admin. No, mission control. There's the one we want. So, gather scientific data from Gale, which is worth a very little bit. But that's just... Okay. Launch our first vessel, which we'll definitely take, and then escape the atmosphere, which is one of the standard ones. So we'll definitely escape the atmosphere, and then we'll take one of these two. I don't know what's available to me right now. Let's jump in the VAB and see what's actually available. Sleaze, it's a lot of fun, and it's one of those games where, like, it's usually recommended to just play it a bit vanilla, so you know what you're doing. And it's kind of like Skyrim or whatever. It's perfectly playable without any mods whatsoever. But there's a big modding community, and some of the mods are really good. So literally just a probe core. Have we got any science kind of thermometer and a barometer? So we can kind of immediately start off with... is it just an SRB? Yeah, so we can basically take some readings from the launch pad. I'm not pissed on Scottish Cyber Earth. Come on now. Although I dropped into Isolate's warship stream a little bit. He was a bit, yeah. It was quite fun. I was hanging out with him, Chrysantos. Conway was there in the background because him and Chrysantos were both in the Wargaming office, and then one of his regulars. Hex, so yeah, but even very drunk, Isolate still plays quite a lot better than I do. So yes, contracts. We were looking at contracts, and I'm also going to slurp tea. So we'll go with you know what? We'll go with that one, and the going to space one. Can literally just build a very basic thing, slap on some things, and then zoom to the thingy center. So we're just going to call this one Test Bed Alpha. It's a very basic name. And so, do we have any? Got a tiny little nose cone. I can put a tiny little nose cone on it. It's aerodynamic now. I was taking a glimpse into the future. I mean, you might say that. Right, do we have any parachutes? No, so whatever I send is going to be basically a one-way thing. Do I have any batteries? Oh, okay. We do have a small battery core we can stick on there. We have a small basic aerial. So we can basically get two, like I can put it on the pad, get readings, grab it back, and then we can just immediately launch it after that. I'm going to have to unlock some stuff before I can make planes though. I did wonder if this pack would start you off with like, you have to make some planes before you can get anywhere. Because that's the thing I've been doing with the more or less stock career. is I've been remote controlled. Yeah, we need actually a little command pod on it, which I think. Yeah, that's got a torque wheel, so we'll have some very, very slight amount of torque control on this. So, all for the princely sum of 1990 Kerbucks? I don't know what you call them. They won't even be Kerbucks because it's not Kerbin, it's Gale. Please try this at home. Exactly, absolutely. So what we can do is we can log pressure data and transmit that. And as you can see, that's some accomplishments. If I can get the little right-click menu to go along. So that's a first scientific experiment, and then I completed that contract, so that's fine. We can also log temperature and transmit that as well. You can hear it beepling away. Now, these are both reusable experiments, so actually I don't even need to recover this. I mean, you can just recover it for full price because you're on the pad. But what I can do is I can go to Space Center, get that other contract, and I think it should be valid. I'm not entirely certain. But we should just be able to go and grab this one, and then we can see if we can get this thing into space. Now, what I could do, I do have MechJeb on this particular. Oh, do I though? Actually, no, I do. I do have MechJeb, but MechJeb unlocks through the tech tree in career mode. So for the first part, it's just going to be me. It's going to 100% be just me. So, we just hit the space part. There's no throttle level because it's an SRB. So, let's just get this bad boy going. Whoa, hello. Yeah, we might want to toggle the thrust a bit. Right, so what we can do, while this thing plummets back to Earth, if I can find the experiments, so we can once again transmit more data. Get more science, log temperature, transmit data. You can hotkey all this later on, but that's not available at the moment. And of course, as this thing has no parachutes, it's just going to go kablooey into the ocean. And so we're not going to get any extra ground data from it. But launch our first vessel. I did, however, get that contract, so it's fine. Yeah, but back when it was pure sandbox, it really was just kind of mucking around and doing your own thing. But you've also got now two different career options. You can play science mode where you don't have to worry about the cash, or you can do a full career mode with various difficulty options. Right, so go to Space Center. I might, once I get enough technology, I might maybe try and focus on SSTOs. Because I've rather been enjoying trying to make SSTOs, but I also suck at it because it's actually quite difficult. It's one of the harder things to do in KSP, because making a craft that will balance sufficiently to both launch and come back is actually quite difficult. So we've got a bunch of contracts now. A lot of them are just test contracts, which are very quick to do, but also don't give you a lot back. We do, however, get a little bit of science and a little bit of prestige with each one. So, does that orbit? That orbit one will expire. So I probably want to pick that up at some point. Let's have a quick look. We've got 16 science. We'll see if 16 science will get me... Oh, it's enough to get some basic stuff. So this is all... rovery things, okay. And then that also, from a side branch, unlocks a lot of structural parts, and then this is some actual rocketry parts. So for 12, we'll take all those. I didn't actually fiddle with the difficulty level, so... oops, what did I do there? Oh, I sent myself back to the... Oh, no, I've gone to the tracking station. I didn't mean to do that. Yeah, I should have actually looked at the. Maybe I should have set up a career file first with difficulty options. Some of them you can actually set when you're in game, but I think most of the defaults should be okay. So we're on normal difficulty. There's some things I might turn off, like missing crews respawn. I didn't know in my previous, like my other unmodded career. If I've actually, it might be going back to the modded career. I don't know. I'm sure at some point I was doing KSP on stream and I killed Kerbinauts and then they came back and it was this setting here and I didn't realise it. So we're going to turn that off. Reheating we're going to leave at 100%. The defaults are all 100% for all these, so we're going to leave that alone. That's fine. There's other things you can turn on to make it easier, but we're not going to do that. Com network, I'm sure there's something. We do want to put some of these in. Allow negative fund science, so you could allow yourself a deficit, but that's making things a bit too easy. Part pressure limits. Yeah, we'll turn some of these things on. Part G-force limits. Kerbal G-force limits. So too much in the way of G-forces. So too much acceleration or deceleration will cause things to break. So we'll have to bear that in mind. That ComNet thing. Objects with atmospheres. I seem to remember. Yeah, I tend to like that to be at 1.0 and then stick that at like, because otherwise it feels a bit cheaty because it's kind of clipping through the ground. We'll set that to 0.85. Those are all fine. Plasma blackout and require signal for control. There's now basic ComNet options or communications options, but you can still, if you're feeling a bit more hardcore, you can still go and get remote tech. The remote tech mod, which adds things like signal delays. I'm not quite that hardcore. I have tried remote tech in the past and found I didn't like it that much. TAC life support. I don't think we'll mess with the default options there. Okay, we'll accept all those. That's fine. Right, so we've got 4 science left. That's actually enough to. I can either get some wing parts or I can get some like rover parts, and that also gives me the that seismic thing there, things like battery packs. I think we'll do that. These are all really cheap in terms of science. I swear there is a setting where it makes you buy all of the things. I think that's something you can't change actually in the career mode. But you can make it a bit more difficult in terms of funds with, like, every time you unlock a thing on the tech tree, you then have to buy the individual bits. And it makes you think about which bits you need specifically. But clearly, the default setting is that you just get everything for free. And we'll just go with that. That's fine. Right. Is there a difficulty like XCOM Iron Man where the game auto-saves and you can't reload previous saves? I don't think so. If you want to play kind of like Iron Man difficulty, it's really up to you, because there is a quick save and quick load function, and you can just like save scum to your heart's content. There's nothing in the game that prevents you from doing that. It really is just like whether you choose to or not, essentially. It leaves it in the hands of the player. So you just have to have... You have to have the iron will to resist the temptation when it all goes horribly wrong. But what a lot of people do when they're doing KSP streams, particularly, is they'll put up a thing on screen that says like engineering mode or testing mode or whatever, and they'll have it be that this is for testing purposes. We're simulating all this. It's not actually happening. So I don't know if I'm going to make this like a series or whatever. Or even just a semi-regular stream. But I don't know. I might just do something along those lines, where sometimes we're testing and sometimes it's for reals, you guys. Although, I mean, if you were feeling brave, you could just never test anything and just rely on your knowledge of how everything works in KSP. I should point out this is just regular size Gale. This isn't like the real scale option, which is 10 times bigger and is basically the size of actual Earth. But therefore, you need a lot more delta V to get off the surface. So, once again, let's take a quick look at what we now have available, which should be a lot more. So we've got an external command seat. We can make a rover. We've got a few fuel tanks. We have some actual decent engines at the moment. I don't think we... No, we did get one more science experiment, so that's fine. Battery packs, more battery packs. Well, the game starts you off with one. Some basic aerodynamic stuff. No wings yet. That was in one of the later ones. Stack separators. Adapter. Okay. Do we have... No parachutes yet. But we're starting to get some of the universal storage stuff, which might well come in quite useful later on. The universal storage, I actually just like... I'll stick that on top there. In fact, no, I don't think we've got a frame for that yet. It's weird, it gives me bits before it gives me the frame for it. Oh, no, wait, okay, there we go. Oh god, it's been donkey since I used universal storage. So it's basically just like a thing that lets you build up command bays. So you could, rather than strap stuff to the outside, you can just make these kind of neat little, well, not command bays, service bays. So you can just do that if you want to be all fancy schmancy about it in each one of those. Oh, that's the SRB. Each one of those is basically a little bay that you can stick stuff in. And there are ones further down the line where they're little tanks and whatever for life support and fuel and ore and whatever else. But yeah, the universal storage is quite a nice mod. It just adds some very nice streamlined functionality. Oh, I've also got tweak scale. That's a thing that I added, so I can scale things. And the nice thing about tweak scale is it basically sort of adds a whole new set of parts without actually adding any parts, because I can tweak scale and say, okay, I'm going to make this huge, and that the cost goes up. I can make a 10 meter SRB, but suddenly it costs 100,000 credits. So, you know, you could do that if you wanted to. It's going to get a bit silly if you make SRBs that big, but yeah. So we've got some more parts available, so let's take another contract. Hey Ginge. One thing I did want but I haven't got installed because it's not been updated for 1.2.2 is procedural wings, which lets you create your own wing shapes. So you're not just stuck with the stock wings and having to piece things together. And you can actually then create your own wings that look more like proper wings that you can put fuel in. Because in the stock game there's like 2 that you can put fuel in. Right, so we could do just some testing contracts. A crew report. Well, I've got... There's no point taking that because I've got nothing where I can take a crew report from at the moment. Let's see what's available. That one's not bad. Haul a thing into flight for 16k. Suborbital trajectory. I don't think we can get to a suborbital trajectory yet. So haul a Rove Max Model M1, which I think is a wheel, into flight above gale. So we'll take that. And the other active one we've got is escape the atmosphere. So we need to get over 70k for that. So if this was just stock KSP at this point, it'd be like, oh, well, I just need now a different kind of engine. But we're just going to make another throwaway rocket because we are actually going to use tweak scale. And if only I had MechJeb, at least could tell me, even if I didn't have the functions, it could tell me what my thrust to weight is and stuff like that. But anyway, so what we can do... I wonder if we can tweak scale this. We can. So I can actually create a bit of an overhang there. And it looks a bit, you know, because we're just blowing it all up, but why don't I put the... Oh, I wonder... I swear I put the... Ah, there it is, yeah. The thermometer. I think it just kind of got lost inside. So, yeah, I don't think we need to tweak scale that. The reason I tweak scaled the... Oh, that actually carries more electric charge as well, so we don't actually need that battery. The reason I didn't tweak scale the thing bigger is because it will cost more. Right, we'll put some fins on that just to give it a little bit of stability. We're kind of banking on the slightly more powerful reaction wheel authority of this thing now. So, I've limited the... oh, that's not supposed to be limited that much. I've limited the thrust so it won't accelerate as quickly. Actually, let's try 40%. And we could even stick... Oh, what am I looking? Science. That new experiment that we've got on here. So... we'll see how we do with this thing. KCM. So yeah, tweak scale is nice. I've not played with it before. This is my first time playing with tweak scale. It's one I've been aware of for a very long time, but I've just not played with it. So we'll turn on stability control. We're going to have relatively little control over... Oh, I should have done that so we can log... Oh, we can't log seismic data because we're... oh, I could have done it on the pad. I should have done it on the pad, really. Okay, we'll call this one a test because we can tweak the... I want to tweak the amount of takeoff thrust because it's complete guesswork at the moment. So we will have that at like 30% and see how we go with 30%. And let's remember this time to actually do the seismic scan thing on the launch pad. I could have taken the other instruments off actually because it's not going to survive landing, and we've already gotten the data that we're going to get, but it's fine. So this data takes a little longer to oh okay, because it only had 80 charge. Never mind. This is just, it's part of the teething process. So we do in fact need a battery for this particular, because more data takes longer to actually transmit. Although, no. See, if we... No, leave those on. I need to leave those on, because if we do make it up to space... If we do make it up to space, then... that's absolutely... we need the instruments on there. Right, so... I could perhaps make that nose kind of a bit bigger, just so it provides a bit of aerodynamic shielding. It's all pushing the cost up, of course, but... yes. Now, there's probably... There's one of these. There's a hammer booster. But, oh, it's actually got better ISP. Yeah, the Flea has better ISP. Which is engine efficiency, basically. So let's try this. You don't think I've watched on my... KSP streams? Well, it's been a while since I did a KSP stream last. Last time, in fact, I think... I was recording and streaming at the same time, which caused all kinds of awkwardness. Right, so 30%. Oh, this is also why I'm not doing it super hardcore, because I forget. I'm talking and then I forget the things I was going to do. So right, yes. Let's just pin all of these things, because otherwise you're frantically trying to click. God, this as an addition to the UI was just such a quality of life improvement when it came along. Right, so that's on, and I forgot to do that. Yeah. So guess who forgot to? Oh, hello. It's a bit flippy. It seems bad at doing anything other than just going straight up. Okay. Right. Okay. Actually, you know what I think we'll do? I think we'll just ditch. Wait, what do I want? That one. Let's just ditch that entirely. I do have now some liquid fuel engines to play with. So what I could do is just maybe scale everything down again slightly. And it's going to smush the batteries, but that's fine. So does this? It does have vector range. How expensive are those? Let's just stick with the basic fins. Because we've actually got some gimbal range on this this rocket now, so that's quite nice. So, right, yeah. Right, remember this time, take the gravitational scan. God damn it. Well, Latika Mafia, I mean, you say that, but as much as I love the mouse, that would still involve playing World of Tanks, which is not a hugely high priority at the moment. I have been playing a little bit of Tanks in the last few days. It's mostly to try and get a decent replay for the Pt.1, and I can usually do about 3 or 4 games, and then I just kind of get a bit frustrated. Right, log seismic data, transmit seismic data. Hopefully we don't run out of battery power this time, which we shouldn't do. It's taking a little while because it's having to transmit through the most basic aerial. So there we go, more science. And let's try 2/3 power takeoff. Oh, we haven't got stability control on, which we do want. So this is me just doing it all without MechJeb, which feels a bit weird because I've gotten very used to it. Because I can do it. Like I usually do this at the start of even a career where because I figured out at least how to go in and make all MechJeb functions available at the start. But quite honestly, it's like I do it for a couple of launches and then I just like, oh wow, this is a bit tedious now, because launching over and over again is not what I play KSP for. But I'm at least, as far as this goes, going to try and, you know, at least stick it out and just unlock MechJeb through the tech tree as one is supposed to. Oh, hello. Okay, it doesn't like that. What we're going to call this an extra. We're now slightly pointed at the ground. I'm guessing our center of mass shifted. If it's possible to I think we can arrest the descent a little bit, but not much more than that. We might even be able to safely splash down. I say safely, we'll probably lose the engine bell, but we might be able to recover the craft. There might be enough Delta V left. And if we lose it, and the main thing was that I kept forgetting to take that scan, but if we lose it, it doesn't matter too much because it's not an expensive one. So we've already, yeah. counts as whilst flying at Gale. Did that say Gale's Lowlands? I thought it said Kerbin's. I'm so used to it saying Kerbin's Lowlands. Of course, it's not Kerbal, it's Gale. Right. Oh, 700 meters, 600 meters. I've got the fuel. It's just me. You know, if I can accurately judge the. You don't want to kill too much too quickly, because then you're just wasting fuel hovering. Okay, we're descending at 14 meters a second. 100 meters to go. We might actually... Oh, no, we're going up again. We don't want to go up. We're actually hovering. We want to sink. But we want to sink gently enough that we don't... You know, if we can have at least the science experiments survive... Whoa, no, too much, too much. No, don't flip. No, well, now we're just gonna belly flop and it's probably all gonna smash. Yeah, oh well. That could have worked, but I completely mucked it up. I opened up the throttle far too much. So that's fine. We got a bit more science out of that. Hey, Lafiel. I think if you, because there are realism mods for KSP as well, you can basically get the real scale solar system, which gives our solar system at 1-to-1 scale. And there's a bunch of mods that go along that, so they give you actual rockets and actual fuels, and it's all like you have to do your homework a bit to play the full realism kind of set of mods, but it is doable. So, oh yeah, so we've got that. I forgot about that. We've got that Rove Max thing, so we'll do that. So that got me a little bit more science, though, which we will make use of. And we'll make use of it to get wings and my first cockpit, so we'll be able to make planes. And we might actually do that, rather than slap all the stuff onto... an expendable rocket. We might actually do something that we can recover. So it just says haul it into flight, doesn't it? Doesn't give any kind of... No, it's literally just flying over Gale, so that's fine. So let's build a plane. The Rove Max Model M1. So there's our cockpit. And as you can see, if you play KSP, you know, you'll notice there's a lot more bars on this. That's from TAC life support. I could make this really huge, but I think it's still only got a crew capacity of 1. That might be a bit too huge. And also apparently costs 3,000, 30, I can't even words and numbers. I could make a really tiny one for really tiny Kerbals. Because you can also make things smaller. Anyway, let's just do the usual. Right, Rove Max M1 is a wheel, I suspect. Yes, the Rove Max M1. So we can just like stick a wheel on somewhere and it'll be horribly unaerodynamic, but that's fine. So, RCS build. Oh yeah, that's another mod I've got on there, which is a nice. Oh, okay, that's one of the things, I think. I think that's the mod that gives us a different looking base, but you can tweak things to add other bases around the place or something. I don't know. I didn't really look into that too much. Right, fuel tanks. We should just have standard... well, hell, do we even really need that? Let's start off with the structural fuselage then. The structural fuselage part is a little bit buggy. It's kind of useful, but it doesn't like being pulled around too much. Don't have a lot in the way of wing parts, so I guess we're just going to have to go with this swept wings. And I guess we'll go with another structural fuselage. And also we might want to toggle Aerodynamic. So, if I remember correctly, it's the centre of mass ahead of your centre of lift. Engines, right, we should have a jet engine. Juno basic jet engine. I think we've got a proper tail cone, so we'll stick that on. It's a tail fin. Yaw control. Suggest a name for this, by the way. We need a name for this this Bonnie aircraft. Now, one of the things that is a really neat little trick. You can actually stick 2 engines on this. I didn't know you could do this, but some of the nose cones you can actually radial mount. And therefore you can stick things. The uncrashable Mark 1. So, yeah, that's a really nice little, like, this is why you watch other people playing games, because they do things and they have ideas, and it's like, oh, I'd never thought of that. That's really cool. So I could do that, and of course I could. I mean, having tweak scale in this kind of early career is almost kind of cheaty, because you could have a bigger engine with therefore much more thrust. But for the purposes of this, we're just going to stick with the proper engine scale. At least I think that should be there we go. The proper engine scale. Aerodynamics. I'm going to have to get used to having tweak scale, because it just gives you so many more options. In fact, one of those options is I don't even need 2 parts there. I can just have that cone and go bloop, bloop. So they should be, oh, they are now slightly skew-if. The Doom Dart. There's a name. Very confidence inspiring. Okay, we'll call it the Doom Dart then. So I've got 2 of those. We need fuel. I'm probably going to end up making this unnecessarily complicated, just for the sake of fun. Because I could make something really, you know, slap something really basic together and be done with it. But where's the fun in that? So, if I have those be empty. Oh. Right, we could... Okay, that just scales up to the... You can click... Oh, okay, you can choose the arrows and it'll toggle between the standard part sizes, or you can just kind of click and drag. So I'm going to take that from 50 to, say, 100 fuel each and see what size that makes them. In fact, we might even put them in the wing roots. So we need intakes, control surfaces. I guess we'll have to scale up the intakes, because otherwise it's going to look a little weird. There we go, it looks like the right size. We'll slightly smoosh that in, and then we'll put some more. Put some more cones at the back. I think that's actually still not quite. There's one thing that KSP does lack in the editor mode, is that it's very hard to make sure stuff is actually. Sometimes you need certain parts to be properly perpendicular, and it's not always easy to do. Just going visually. So that would be nice if there was some kind of Because if you've managed to attach something perpendicular, you've got the snap mode, of course, and that's fine. But right, so we want the wings to be about there, and then for the KSP purposes, it doesn't matter that the things are partially occluded by the. Should we put that there? I mean, I could literally just have put the standard size ones and then put them there, but you know, now we've got this weird looking thing instead. So I'm not actually entirely sure those are, but that might just be my brain telling me it isn't because the two things are on a curve next to each other. Right, so this is probably going to fly horribly, but that's no surprise. Also, let's make sure that doesn't have any monoprop in. So wheels. So we want one of those on the front. And then our two rear wheels we need to make sure are... Sometimes there's just too many bits of stuff in the way. Bits of stuff being, of course, the technical term. Right, so... need the centre of mass overlay up, and we need the wheels to be a little behind that, but not too far behind, otherwise you can't actually take off. Right, so that should be... I'll make sure that's just about touching down there. So fairly standard tricycle undercarriage. So that's the plane itself. 20 out of 30 parts used. So we just need a couple of control surfaces. Oh, we don't actually have. Oh, that makes life awkward. So in the aerodynamic parts, we don't have separate flaps yet. So I'm going to need canards for lift. Oh, for pitch, and then we're gonna have to figure out some bodge for yaw. And he's dashed awkward. So we're going to use those for pitch. And obviously that's completely messed up my aerodynamics. So the wings need to move all the way back there. And then for yaw... no, yaw controls the tail. What am I talking about? I don't know what this is supposed to look like. I don't think it's supposed to look like anything, to be quite honest. Yeah, that's fine. So that's about there, maybe. Right. So roll authority is what I'm trying to ham-fistedly. Could we? Will those do? If I scale those down... Oh, that's too far. Right, and if we use those for roll authority... I think that might work. Scoosh that forward slightly. So that's all good, and then we're going to completely mess up the aerodynamics by slapping a Rove Max Model M1 wheel on it. It just says I have to put it in flight. I wonder if we could cheat and stick it like inside, because these are basically hollow tubes. So, yeah, we're just going to do that. So I think that should still count. That should be fine. So, we're starting off with the standard Kerbal laws. We'll actually have Valentina take the first flight. Why not? Hey, strangers. I'm kind of having to slightly bodge it because the tech tree progression is completely different from what I'm used to. So, let's slap on the brakes and just check. Right, so that in principle should work for roll authority. We've got pitch authority from the canards, and then your authority from the tail, which is just waggling the whole thing around, in fact. So, I maybe could have put some science instruments on this, but we can at least... you know what I'll do? We're going to add 2 more bits. The control surfaces work. That was what that test was. And what we're now going to do is just quickly add 2 more bits. What's the electric charge? That should be... We shouldn't need to add a battery. I'm going to add an aerial. So we can do things like beam back crew reports, and then maybe... do we just want to add all of the science bits? We've already got those whilst flying, but we can... no, you know what? It's fine. We'll just go with this rather than add more stuff. Just under 12,000 funds. Right, so... God knows this is going to... It's not immediately fallen on its own arse, which is a good sign. Also, there is... one of the mods I added adds like reflected engine glow light, but it also does it for jet engines, which looks a bit weird. It's not really supposed to do that. Oh, well, okay, that's responsive. Now, we can't just gear up because... Oh, there we go. So immediately we get that contract. What we can also do is we can do our first crew report whilst flying over Gale's lowlands. So we can do some crew reports. We could just do a little lap around and... how does this go without the... okay, it just does sync without that. That's fine. So yeah, this is relatively stable, but it's a pretty basic jet. There's not a lot to see. Oh, this is one of the mods, by the way. It revamps the cockpit. The cockpit revamps, the IVA revamps tend to be on a case-by-case basis, so some of them are standard, others are not. This down here is obviously a bug. That's not supposed to be like that. But yeah, otherwise it looks alright. So we can probably do another crew report flying over Gale's water, so that's more science. We can also do science from the runway itself. I'm kind of wondering if there's more... Whoa, hello! Wow, with those, we might have to limit the authority of those. Those are super responsive. Let's stick those down to like 75. In fact, let's make that like 70. It's just a little bit too much responsiveness there. It's massively causing drag and so that's a thing we might need to tweak. So yeah, we're just trying to kind of fly over this way a bit. See if there's any more things we can get some crew reports for. Well, it it didn't immediately crash. We have roll authority. We have pitch authority. It seems relatively stable. Should be okay. I can't even remember what did we call this one? The danger dart or something. I think I can zoom out enough. I think this must be like a volcano crater. I think that's got a separate biome in it. I'm not 100% certain. So we're gonna fly over the rim, the caldera. See if we can't do another crew report. Yeah, flying over Gale's volcano. So that is actually a separate thing. We'll fly over this way a little bit more, see if there isn't more to see, and then we'll go back and land at the Space Center. We're just having a little maiden flight. It's quite nice. So yeah, this is Gale. This is a bit different looking from Kerbin. I've not seen too much. I don't know how many biomes there are in total, but there are some. One thing I'm lacking, which I did go looking for, is a mod that gives you alerts when you're passing over somewhere where there's new science. Flying over Gale's Mountains. Another crew report. It's only 4 science per crew report, but it's not bad. I wonder if you could even manage to... I wonder if that's flat enough to risk a landing. The Junos are actually quite powerful for their size. They're not bad engines at all. And with tweak scale, well, you could completely just cheat. Should we try it? And hope that we don't kill Valentina, because if we kill Valentina, she's just, you know, that's it. She's dead. R.I.P. Valentina. I'm going to take the risk. We're going to test out the rough landing capabilities of this thing, and then we'll head back to the Space Center. Now, I don't have anything beyond the brakes. We don't have any air brakes. We don't have any drogue parachutes. These basic jet engines don't have... It really doesn't like it when I use the yaw authority in the air. It definitely... Maybe I need to tone that down a bit as well. Right, so yeah, we're just totally relying on... I mean, if this looks like it's going to be too hairy, we're totally just going to abort. I'm not risking the life of an astronaut this early. I'm going to bank here and bleed off a little bit of speed. We don't want to stall out. Stalling out very bad. No, Windows! Stop doing this! Every time I play KSP, the little thing pops up and says, "Do you want to use sticky keys?" And it's caused me some very hairy moments. No, Windows, I do not want to make my keys sticky, thank you very much. Let's kill engine thrust entirely. I've got no idea if this is a good plan or not, but we're going to try it anyway. This all looks a bit bumpy. It's kind of tough to tell exactly how flat this terrain is. This might just be a really stupid idea. Okay, this is Gale's Highlands, apparently. Get a crew report from there. You know, I think this is probably too great a risk. We're not going to try this. It's actually a bit too tough to tell how flat it is. It's a very uniform colour. So rather than take the risk with Valentina's life, we're not going to kill a Kerbal this early. That would be pretty bad juju. Oh, also let's not bleed off too much speed and stall. That would also be bad. So we're back over in that direction. We've gotten a bunch of science out of this. It's not been a bad little excursion. Oh, although apparently I'm terrible at flying planes. Yeah, the control surfaces I've had to kind of bodge for this are not maybe the best, but we probably want to come over more from that way, actually, don't we? Yeah, the handling when you're trying to make a turn is not super great, but it's stable enough. It's better than some of the other planes I've made. One of the things I was trying to do on my stock career mode was make a plane that could land on water and then take off again, and it went badly over and over and over again, so eventually I just gave up. I was trying to make a flying science lab that I could land on water, because why not? But it didn't work out, sadly. Yeah, I'm sure Valentina was thinking that, Ralak. She was hurriedly searching around the cockpit to see if she could find a reset button. I can Control Z just in case. Let's go into the cockpit view for a little bit. Some of the buttons are actually functional as well. I do have raster prop monitor installed, which a couple of the other cockpits do make use of, but not this one. Sadly, you can't pop the canopy. That'd be quite fun if you could do that. But there's things like you can toggle the engine on and off, and you can stage from inside the cockpit as well. So, oh, there it is. I was slightly lost there, but so let's throttle down. I don't actually know whether one scaled up Juno or just the two standard sized Junos would actually, like, which would cost more, but I suspect a scaled up Juno would probably cost more. Although these are, oh no, they're not the scaled up, it's the fuel tanks that I scaled up with the basic intakes. Right, so we're going to have to make a careful approach. I normally suck at planes. It's the one thing I've had to try and learn to do myself that MechJeb can't do. Although there's another nice mod. It's this mod here, the atmospheric autopilot, which is kind of like MechJeb but for planes, in that it can there's like an advanced SAS mode which holds you very stable, and that's what I'm using at the moment, which is extremely good for unstable aircraft. And then there's like a cruise mode which will hold you at a certain altitude, or you can set it to go at a certain speed, or you can tell it that you want to go on a certain heading, so you can basically, like, if you have to fly to the other side of the planet for a contract, you can use this to say, okay, I want you to fly here at this speed, at this height, and you can just go walk away and do something else, because you know it's going to take half an hour to fly there. So it's a very nice mod for cutting out the tedium, and also it gives you kind of advanced stability. So, final approach over the runway. Oh god. Oh, pull up. Oh. Right, well, I need to actually be... I do suck at this. On the runway. Come on. Down, down, but don't crash. Down, but don't crash. Oh god. Oh, there we go. And we're down. Engines off. Well, they are off. This is the point where being able to, like, toggle in a thrust reverser would be super useful, but we're just relying on the not particularly efficient brakes on these basic wheels. So that's fine. I was fine. I was never worried. It's all fine, and we even did it without running off the end of the runway. So, we'll do one final crew report, because we didn't take a crew report from the runway earlier. So it was fine. It's completely fine. Never worried. It's all fine. Look, see, Valentina is completely fine. She's not feeling a sense of panic or dread from my piloting skills at all. So, let's recover that. We filled that contract rather nicely. I can actually whip that part out of the plane. That's why I chose the hollow fuselages. Apart from being cheaper, you can also stash things inside, so you can, like, stick batteries. So that entire flight netted me a bunch of science. We also recovered all of the funds from launching the plane, because it's a plane. And oh, this is another mod. Valentina Kerman has gotten some ribbons for doing various things. There's a mod that actually keeps track of the individual achievements of different astronauts. So we've got first landing on Gale, speed record, research 1, G-force 3. So she actually, while I was doing some of those turns, had an acceleration of, or she was withstanding forces of 3G or greater, and distance record. So there we go. So no one else is going to have that first landing on Gale ribbon, but presumably the other ribbons can be granted by or gained by other people. So let's have a quick look through the other contracts. Is there anything else that's particularly... like this one, if I can... We're trying to go for a suborbital hop. Escape the atmosphere. We've actually got this one for testing a stack separator, but let's look at the actual wording. 100,000 to 110,000. I think this would have to be an unmanned thing because we still don't have parachutes yet. So we'll take that one because we're going to make a suborbital hop anyway, so it just stacks up with what we're doing already. Let's have a look. See you, Shiva. Thank you for joining us. So what do we call this? The Doom Dart. There we go. It's surprisingly undoomy for all that. So we'll just whip that wheel out there and I seem to have accidentally lost the rear part of the plane. How embarrassing. Right, so we need something that's capable of making a suborbital hop that I hopefully won't completely mess up. So I think what we'll do, I could just go with which one was it? The TR18D stack separator. One of these. Okay. So we need to have one of those in the construction somewhere. So you know what? We'll just open up the testbed rocket and we'll just, rather than clutter up my vehicle list for, you know, it's not like we need to keep this design especially. So rather than clutter up the vehicle list, we'll just stick with that as a control package. So what engines have we got? That would do for an upper stage. Depends if we want to. This is the point where having MechJeb even just to tell me the amount of the amounts of delta V would be very useful. 110 is sort of high. Right, we can dump that off there, but we'll keep those two science experiments because they'll be usable. Oh yeah, we've got the two batteries giving electric charge, haven't we? What I might even do is also stick the small inline reaction wheel on there as well, but scale it up just a tad, which I think in theory would mean it will have more reaction force, or it will provide greater. You can't right click and look at it though, but in theory that will make it more powerful, I think. So oh, actually what we want to do is we want to have the stack separator underneath that, because we have to test it at that kind of maximum height. So we're gonna actually, you know what, we could probably get away with, I don't know what amounts of delta V I'm going to get out of this, so this is just me guessing. That one's, huh, yeah, we'll go with this one because this one's actually lighter. So push those in there. We probably want that one, and then right, the LVT-30. Right, this is going to be a slightly more expensive rocket. And what we're going to do is we're going to put some all that or that. I'm going to put some control fins on it, which we want for, I think, pitch and roll authority only. Right, so I think they should work. So what will happen is, you know, we use this to get to, I don't know, as high as we can get, and then that boosts us up a bit further. This is possibly going to require some iterations until we figure out exactly what we need in terms of fuel tanks. Twitch has unfollowed you from... Okay, that's a bit random. Yes, it is usually YouTube that only does that. So the goal is, we're actually going to leave that contracts thing open. 100,000 meters, that's what we need. So actually we want to tilt that way a bit, I think. Yes. We'll just pin the fuel tank things there so we can see how much fuel we're using in each stage. $5,000. You don't want to go too fast, too low in the atmosphere, because then you're just wasting your delta V against the atmospheric pressure, basically. Also, with this one, we don't need to worry too much about doing anything other than just kind of like going straight up. 50,000. Okay. Ditch that stage. 60. 70. 100,000. Actually, we'll burn a little bit more so we can, because we're going to lose a little bit of that max periapsis. So what we'll do is we need to get up there. This will flash screen when we actually do. We might even be able to, if I can find where they are, take some more instrument readings and get some more science. So log temperature, upper atmosphere, and we'll do a pressure scan. So that's upper atmosphere, and then once we actually pop out the atmosphere, it'll be another set of readings. Well, I think having the proper fins actually helps that time, strangers. So we're outside the atmosphere now. Log pressure data whilst in space near Gale. There's tiny amounts of data, so or tiny amounts of science out of each of these. Temperature scan while in space. So we've gotten that contract for doing that. That's fine. So that's one contract done. That's more cash, and also we're on our way to getting this other contract. We're going to lose the whole thing, of course, but that's fine. It's expendable. It's more than covered by the cost of the contract. One interesting idea I did see somebody do. I think it was on Reddit rather than YouTube. Yeah, it must have been. Is that they had this idea that they were going to have a career playthrough, but they could only do stuff that was in contract, including collecting science. So I have maybe thought about doing that as a thing, but it just seems a little bit too constricting for the sake of being constricting. So what we can do, we didn't even need, like, this was actually overkill. We maybe even could, with this design, get into orbit. So we pop that final one. There's the contract, and then all this stuff's just going to plunge back. So we'll actually just go to the space center. We could watch all the stuff burning back in the atmosphere, but it would take ages. So rather than watch those things plunge back to the ground, we'll go and collect our monies and oh, 62 science. We'll unlock some more bits. Wow, 1 research point. So that's a no-brainer. That gives us a bunch of control surfaces. So I could rejig the Doom Dart. Okay, life support. Plus a basic parachute. Basic service bay. Landing strut. Okay, that's 16. Well, we'll take this. That gives us all the thing, because that's only 1. I think it looks like for I don't know if there's more down the line, but for those kind of sideways linked ones, once you've got the main thing, it makes the second one a bit cheaper, or rather more cheaper. So we can get better engines, including the LVT 45, which is a very nice one. So we'll take that one for 20. I think we'll just do row by row rather than rushing in any one particular direction. So now we've got 24. So that's around about 45 each for this next row. So we need to do more experiments, more science. That would be a good one to go for, actually, because the LV909 is a very efficient engine. So that would be nice. We're starting to see some more of the KW rocketry parts popping in as well. That's quite a nice parts pack. That'll be one of the expanded Mark II parts pack things. Some of these cockpits are from, I think, some aircraft. I've got various different things like these turboprop engines. It's weird. You get jet engines before you get propeller engines, because go figure. That might be because of this revamped tech tree that I'm using, because obviously it would make more sense to get the propeller engines first. But if you wanted that, I guess you'd have to manually do it yourself. But anyway, yeah, there's going to be a bunch of new parts to play with. So, more contracts. We've got some very basic, cheap test things at the launch site contract, which are not worth a lot, but they get you a little bit of cash very quickly. They're worth about 7,000 each. So they're kind of good for doing. Oh, that one's actually worth a little bit more. That one's worth a bit over 8,000. So we'll take the get into orbit contract, because I think we have enough bits to get into orbit. What else? That one's a take into flight over Gale. 5,000 to 8,000. Oh, that one we could do with a plane. But what we're going to do, that one, that's a haul into orbit one. Oh, that one's worth a bit. Let's figure out what's worth the most. I think we'll go with these two. Actually, having said that, let's actually upgrade that already. Let's upgrade mission control. There we go. I've spent 75k, and now I can have more than 2 contracts. So we'll take the orbit one. We'll take this test in flight one, because we can do that with a plane. We'll take this one because that's an orbital one, and that's an engine I'm probably using in orbit, although that does have the requirement of getting up to a certain altitude, but we'll take that one. And then we'll take this one, which is just... Oh no, well that's quite a high orbit. Okay, maybe we won't take that one just yet then. It's worth a reasonable amount though. Okay, yeah, we will. We will take that, actually. As for the rest of them... oh, that wants me to test... Okay, the speed's not so bad, but testing at 13,000 meters is well beyond my capability at the moment. So that's one that will just sit around and clog up my contract screen. So the next thing is to build a thing that can go to orbit. I could fly the plane again, but let's build a rocket. See you, Isle Man, and preemptive happy birthday. Happy birthday in advance. So, we want a new craft. Oh, I don't think we can make a manned orbital craft yet, but we can certainly make an unmanned orbital craft. That shouldn't be a problem. Could we even adapt... Possibly could. Okay. Well, actually, rename that, because we'll keep it as a... We'll version it, as it were. What was the altitude requirement? 140 to 150. So we might need like a 3-stage rocket. So first thing we'll do is we'll get rid of the LVT-30 for an LVT-45. That upper stage is fine. We might need a middle stage though. We also... Do we want more battery capability? We'll dump the... Oh no, no, we do need that actually, don't we? So... What we'll do is... Another FTL? Try an FTL 400. And of the engines we've got, I guess, another Vesta. Oh yeah, we want a separator, obviously. Although, is this more expensive than it needs to be? Possibly. This is possibly rather more expensive than it needs to be. Right, let's... test that out. And also, on the off chance, I don't think we'll be able to get it into an orbit anything like wild enough, but the Sepratron is extremely lightweight, so what we'll do is we'll just stick the Sepratron on the nose and that'll be in a separate group. So if we get the chance to test the Sepratron, we can, but probably we won't. So, orbit? Maybe? This one might take a couple of goes to tweak it. Right. Looks like we're all, I think, ready to go. It's sort of slightly refreshing to, and it makes more sense that you would start off with unmanned rockets to test various things, because of course in KSP you basically jump in from the start and it's like you just do all of the rockets. This, by the way, when you don't have jet engines where it looks weird, you get this kind of glow effect, which it does look rather nice, but it shouldn't be with the jet engines, it just is. Right, so... oh, this is possibly going to push this into a weird orbit. I don't... Oh, the orientation of the actual space center is kind of... Oh, okay. I'm going to have to take that into account, clearly. Right, we're almost ready to stage. Whoa, hello! Hello, Mr. Flippy. Okay, it doesn't like that. Okay, that design doesn't work so well. That simulation has revealed some flaws. So I'm going to stick some more fins on it, which ought to help stability. I wonder if we might... I'm going to do some jiggling with... No, actually... Honestly, the Vesta should be fine for that second stage engine. Do we maybe want a little bit more fuel on that first stage? Bearing in mind we do have some constraints because we have upgraded nothing. So the rockets can only be so tall and so heavy and have so many parts at the moment. That's the biggest thing that eats money early on is upgrading your space center facilities. And if you've got the difficulty enabled, that then means you have to pay for all your part unlocks in the science center as well. You can end up having to grind for cash, but it kind of gives you something to do as well, because you end up like chasing tourist contracts. So I kind of want to go... I suck at rockets like trying to... This is why I use MechJeb, because it's like trying to get my head around which way the rocket's going compared to where it is on the nav ball. It's not a thing I'm particularly good at. So there's that. Actually, let's just toggle that on for now. Hey, Clyde. Yes, I'm mucking around in KSP with the Galileo Planetary Pack and a lot of other mods. Oh, I should probably be healing over a little bit more than that. So a quick check where we're at. 15,000. Oh, no, see, it's... I don't know why it's doing that. The fins helped a tiny little bit, but... Is the top of the vehicle heavier than the... I don't need more 3 stages. You're probably right. I'm probably completely overcomplicating things. I'm just, you know... 3 stages! Nah, okay, you're right. It doesn't need 3 stages. That is complete. I think that might be why it's flipping out as well, because we've got the weight of that extra engine, essentially. But we could just make the first stage more efficient, so... That would be too much, another one of those. I mean, this is going to cut down the parts count, it's going to cut down the cost and the weight, so... Right. 4 stages. You're right, it needs 4 stages and also asparagus staging and all other things besides. All the things. It just needs all the things. Right, if I pull that off, is that going to be... maybe... No, well, we'll try it. We'll try it and see how we go. Bearing in mind that we want to get out to... What was it, 140? Reckless Sneak. This is, as I've said, this is with a bunch of mods, but yeah, the current version 1.2.2, it's pretty good these days. The ability to have a stable 64-bit client means that it runs better, basically, on people's computers. You don't pay the penalty for higher part counts that you used to pay. I mean, it still will slow down with higher part count ships, but the point where it slows down is higher than it used to be, basically. And also 64-bit means it can use more RAM, which means you can have more mods. So it's yeah, if you've not looked at it for a while, it's worth going back to. It's still just as fun as it ever was, and it's now got some nice refinements and a bit more stability. One thing you might notice as we go further up in the atmosphere, yet another mod that I added, which is just it's quite a nice one. I hadn't even thought of it as a thing, but of course, normally in KSP, you're zooming around rockets in space, they make noise. And this mod, as you go up through the atmosphere, things get quieter and quieter until you're in space and there's no noise because there's no air. So it's a bit of a inconsequential thing, but I really like that you can, like, the modders, they think of everything. Oh, that's still the bits of the earlier one falling back. I wondered what that was. Let's toggle stage view. So 140 is what we're aiming for. Reckless Sneak, I mean, honestly, I've never made it to another planet either. Right, we need to keep pushing out. So there's the stage. And... oh, Ah, we've gone too far. Damn it. 140 to 150, and it's now over at 160, and we still have to. I'm actually pointing it the other way to try and burn off a little bit, which is just totally wasting delta V, but it might still well be possible to circularize even with the wasted delta V. Right, just. Oh, I see. Yeah, I just saw a bunch of messages go up. But yet another mod is one that lets you recover funds for... Because ordinarily, once stuff goes out of the... which way is like prograde? That's the prograde marker there. Right, we're just going to have to completely guesstimate as to when to start burning because we don't have nodes available yet. But yeah... ordinarily, like, you just have to let stuff go, and it's funds that are lost because you can't follow the main rocket up and also then keep flicking back and forth to stuff to make sure it gets to the ground safely, because once it gets out the physics box, the game just kind of shrugs and says, well, that's gone. But this mod, that if you've got sufficient stuff for getting it back to the ground, parachutes basically, and I don't know if it counts heat shields and stuff as well, but yeah, it basically tries to calculate funds that you would have recovered for that part or that stage or, you know, booster or whatever having come down, which is quite nice. It's one of the things that's it's really hard to, like, you've I think Scott Manley at one point tried to do a reusable space program, and it's actually really difficult to do because of that limitation with the physics bounding, that stuff just basically disappears from the game and it just goes, well, that's destroyed now. So yeah, having a mod that does that is fudging it completely. Right, this is almost turning into a polar orbit, which is a totally inefficient way to launch, but I can't get my head around which direction I need to point the damn rocket in. Right. Oh, is that too early? Maybe. So the idea is that we... See, I'm just pushing out the apoapsis and I don't want to do that. I'm just completely trying to guess, and I think I'm guessing horribly wrong. Oh, again, we've pushed out the apoapsis further than it needs to be. Maybe I should have just tried to get like a 70-odd kilometer orbit and then boosted myself up a little bit higher. So this is part where I can do it without MechJet, but also doing it without any nodes even is very difficult. Oh, we might have enough funds. We're going to count this as an actual flight, I think. So if it all goes wrong, then it goes wrong, and we lost the 10k or whatever it cost to actually loft this thing up. But we'll see if we have the funds to upgrade the tracking station so I can get nodes. No, still too early. How are we doing for power? Still got loads of power. Right, I don't know if I can actually make this an orbit, because it's totally an awkward way to have taken off, and also because I'm trying to chase this contract and I'm trying to do it without nodes. I don't think this is working. I definitely don't think this is working. But, you know, in principle, I think this thing does have enough delta V to get to orbit, which is the point. What if there's any extra science that we could have from this? I think we're still, yeah, we're still space near Gale, so I think you've got to be, what, like 500,000 kilometers or more away? No, I'm just pushing the apoapsis out. So we've just got this great big parabolic curve. Right, so out of fuel, never mind. We'll call this one a successful failure because we know the design can get to orbit. And I think we'll count that one as an actual launch as well. Cyberwraith, please stop advertising other people in the chat. Come on now. Stop advertising other streamers and YouTubers. Please. Plus. Don't make me ban you, Cyberwraith. I think it's the tracking station that we want to upgrade. Here's the system, by the way. So you've actually got 2 moons just like Kerbin does. And then the rest of the system is rather bigger. Bigger in the sense that I think there are more bodies to visit. But some of them are kind of roughly analogous to what's in KSP already. I was burning horizontally, but clearly... well, no, actually I think I was burning on the prograde marker. I find it extremely difficult without the actual... even having the nodes available. Right, patched conics available or visible in map. So we're going to spend the 150k, so that's roughly half my funds. And we're going to try another launch. And I think we're just going to use the same vehicle. And hopefully, right, what we're going to do this time, hopefully, and it's going to work, we're just going to go into a nice low orbit, and then we'll see if we can boost to a slightly higher orbit to get that contract. And if not, we'll just deorbit the thing because it's space junk at that point. Okay, also, that should be in there, really. Oh, no, it shouldn't. That might have gone horribly wrong. So... I cannot want to go... Is it this way? Yes! It's like that way. Whoa! No, too far. Oh god. No, no, nah, no. See, now I'm just... completely suck at trying to control rockets. This is why I have MechJeb do it. Because I cannot reconcile what I see on the nav ball with what the rocket's actually doing. No, we're gonna revert that. Come back, MechJeb. I regret every mean thing I said about you. Yeah. So I can tilt over just a little bit, and as long as I'm not having to use the keyboard too much, it's fine. But the moment when I'm doing anything even a little bit more complicated, like having to use 2 keys rather than 1 key. Right, we're tilted a little bit. Last time I went too far and then tried to correct, and it all went horribly wrong very quickly. Right, oh, what are you? No, hold on. No. See, why? I'm pressing the thing and it's doing opposite things than I want it to. No, see, now we're just launching ICBMs at the neighbours. I want you to